I'll tell you something straight before the story. If you expect a clean, happy family heals everything ending, you're in the wrong place. This is about what happens when trust inside a family doesn't just break, it rots. And what a girl does when she finally stops forgiving the people who keep destroying her life. I was 9 when I first realized my home didn't feel like a home. At that age, you don't have words for it. You just feel it. Like walking barefoot on cold tiles and not knowing why your body keeps shivering even when the room is warm. My father used to say, "Family is everything." My mother used to smile when he said it. And my brother, he used to look at me like I was something temporary, like I was borrowed from a life he didn't approve of. But the worst part, nobody else noticed anything wrong. Not the neighbors, not the relatives, not even the people who came over for dinners and said, "What a beautiful family you have." Beautiful. If only they knew. My name is Areeba. And this is the story of how my family tried to erase me, and how I made sure they regretted it without ever raising my voice. It started small. It always starts small. A missing school notebook. A broken hair clip. A mistake where my food plate was forgotten. My mother would say, "You're being dramatic." My brother Hamza would laugh, "Maybe you're just forgetful." But I was. Because I remember everything. Even the things I wish I could forget. The first real crack came when I was 12. There was a scholarship exam, a big one, life-changing, the kind teachers whisper about like it's a lottery ticket. I studied for months, no sleep, no friends, just books and silence. The night before the exam, I kept my admission slip on my study table. I checked it 3 times before sleeping. In the morning, it was gone. Just gone. I tore the house apart looking for it. My father didn't even look up from his phone. My mother said, "Maybe you misplaced it." Hamza was sitting on the couch, smiling slightly. That same smile he had when he knew something I didn't. I failed the exam. Missed it entirely. 2 weeks later, I found my admission slip in Hamza's school bag. Folded, torn slightly at the corner. When I asked him why, he said something I still remember word for word. "You were getting too confident." My mother heard it. She said nothing. That was the moment something inside me changed shape. Not broke. Changed. Like ice turning into something sharper. Years passed. And I learned something important. In my family, truth didn't matter. Only perception did. My brother was the brilliant son. I was the sensitive daughter. My mother was the sacrificing woman. My father was the strict but fair man. And I was background noise. But here's the thing about background noise. People stop noticing it until it disappears. When I turned 17, I started noticing patterns. Money missing from my locker. Blame quietly shifted onto me whenever something broke. My phone disappearing for hours and reappearing wiped clean. And always Hamza nearby. Watching. Testing. Waiting for my reaction. But I stopped reacting. That's where I started winning without them knowing. I started writing everything down. Every incident, every lie, every inconsistency. Dates, times, details. At first it felt pointless. Then it felt necessary. Then it became something else. A map. Not of where I was, but of who they really were. The real turning point came when I got accepted into university. Scholarship again. This time, I didn't tell anyone. Not immediately. Because I already knew what would happen. And I was right. 2 days before the confirmation deadline, my documents disappeared. This time I didn't panic. I just watched. And I waited. Because I had already made copies. Digital, physical, hidden. That night, I saw Hamza in my room. Going through my drawer. Not even hiding it anymore. When he saw me, he froze. Then smiled. "You don't belong there," he said calmly. "You think you do, but you don't." I asked him why he hated me so much. He didn't answer. He just said, "Dad already decided." That was the first time I felt something close to hatred. Not emotional. Strategic. Cold. Focused. I left for university anyway. With copies of everything. And a decision I didn't fully understand yet. But I knew it had started. Freedom doesn't feel like movies show it. There's no music. No sudden peace. Just silence and awareness. For the first time, I could see my family from outside the system they trapped me in. And what I saw was worse than I imagined. My father wasn't just strict. He was controlling everything quietly through money. My mother wasn't just passive. She was selecting which version of reality to accept. And Hamza, he wasn't just cruel. He was being trained to replace me in every way that mattered. I wasn't imagining it anymore. I was being removed, piece by piece. The most painful discovery came during my second semester. I found out something that made no sense at first. A trust fund, in my name, created when I was a child, controlled by my father. But there was a condition. If I proved financial independence and stability, I would gain full access at 21. And suddenly, everything clicked. Why Hamza sabotaged my exam. Why documents disappeared. Why I was constantly discouraged. It wasn't random cruelty. It was elimination strategy. Because I wasn't just a daughter. I was competition. And they were trying to make sure I never reached 21 with control. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat in my room and smiled for the first time in years. Not because I was happy. Because I finally understood the game. And I had already started playing it better than they thought I could. I changed. Quietly. Systematically. I stopped arguing. Stopped reacting. Stopped being visible. And started building. Connections, records, proof, independence. Every lie they told became something I documented. Every manipulation became leverage. Every mistake they made, I stored. Not for revenge. At least, that's what I told myself. At first. Then, Hamza came to visit me at university. He looked different. More confident. Like he was already living my future. He sat across from me and said, "You're still trying. That's funny." I asked him if he ever felt guilty. He laughed. "No, why would I? You were never supposed to be equal." That sentence stayed with me longer than anything else. Not because it hurt, but because it clarified something. I was never part of their family the way I thought I was. I was a variable they were trying to remove. That's when I stopped thinking like a victim and started thinking like a system. The final year came faster than expected. I had everything ready. Proof of financial manipulation. Audio recordings of conversations I had carefully collected. Bank inconsistencies. Witness statements from relatives who unknowingly confirmed patterns. And most importantly, a complete timeline of sabotage. But I didn't use it yet. Because revenge done too early is just emotion. Revenge done at the right time is architecture. The trigger came during a family gathering. They called me back for celebration. Hamza had gotten an internship abroad. My father was proud. My mother was emotional. Everyone was smiling. And then my father said it casually. "She always struggled, but Hamza made us proud." That was the sentence. The final one. The one that made everything inside me go silent. Not angry. Not sad. Just done. I stood up. And for the first time, I spoke without hesitation. "I know about the trust fund." Silence. Not confusion. Not surprise. Fear. That was the first real emotion I ever saw on my father's face. Hamza tried to laugh it off, but I continued. I know about the documents, the exam, the interference, all of it. My mother whispered my name like it could stop reality from happening. But I wasn't stopping, because I wasn't improvising anymore. I was executing. I didn't threaten them. I didn't scream. I simply said, if I disappear from this house emotionally, legally, and financially, what exactly are you left with? No one answered, because they already knew. The aftermath wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No movie-style collapse. Just quiet consequences unfolding over time. Audits, investigations, financial reviews, legal pressure, distance, and silence. Hamza stopped talking to me completely after everything surfaced. My mother tried once, then stopped. My father never apologized. Not even once. Because people like him don't apologize. They calculate loss. And me. I didn't feel victory. That's another lie people tell about revenge. What I felt was closure without warmth. Like finally shutting a door that had been open too long. Years later, I live alone now. Not lonely. Just separate. And sometimes, I think about the girl I was at 9. Confused, quiet, always trying harder to be seen. If I could talk to her now, I wouldn't tell her to forgive. I wouldn't tell her to be strong. I would tell her something simpler. Start writing everything down earlier. Because truth doesn't protect you. Evidence does. And families like mine don't fall apart because of hate. They fall apart because someone finally stops pretending nothing is wrong.